Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this week's Golden Wing Geekout. I'm your host, Danny. Got my co-host, Ryan, with me.
Heyo.
And we're here to talk about episode 30, Green Day and Oasis, part 1. No idea how many parts this will be, but suffice it to say, we are off to a pretty interesting start.
And then Sacco is like, what the fuck are you doing?
It's like the longer you go, the funnier it gets.
Okay, that was beautiful. Oh god, not again! Oh my god. Good, Secco! Good. Oh, you're such a good boy!
Yeah, but it's just like the way he kept saying it was like, because he was saying like, Yosh or something. It was like, Yosh. And he was
Wait,
doing
really?
it like, that's what it sounded like, yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
Like,
alright.
I mean, he was saying good. He was saying good, but I mean, if you listen to it again, I think that's what he was saying. But it's like, it felt like he was saying it for like a good full minute. I mean, he wasn't. It was going for 10 seconds, but it sure didn't feel like it.
All right, hold on. Okay, give me one moment to re-listen to that, because I don't think I heard that right. Hold on.
Well, we were in the middle of laughing during the whole thing, so.
Yeah. Oh my god, he was.
It's
my
funny.
god.
It's funny, and it's like, this is just one of those things where it's like, the longer he says it, the funnier it gets.
and it gets even funnier when he does it a second time, like a few minutes later.
Yeah, like after Sacco catches the sugar cubes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah. It's like, I mean, that's the dynamic between Chocolata and Sacco. Chocolata treats Sacco more like a pet than he does a partner.
Oh, God.
But still, man, that was... That is by far the funniest moment out of this entire fight. Like, pretty much from here on out, it's serious business, but... You can't help but laugh.
Oh, it's like, I can't help but laugh either, because it's like... Here we have, oh god, now it's like, I cannot unsee this, now I cannot unsee, okay, just swap Chocolata with SA2 Dr. Eggman, and you pretty much got something going on there. Yosh.
Oh my god, Chow Garden will never be the same.
Oh god! Oh no!
It's like, oh
I'm
my
telling
god,
you, I cannot unsee that anymore.
It's like, Jojo, you have tainted the sanctity of Chow Garden now. Thanks a lot.
Are you kidding? I'm loving this. That just made this whole thing so much better. Just listening to Chocolata, just like pretty much voice acting this moment before the main fight. That was one thing. But then putting the two and two together, it just made it so much better.
Okay, somebody please animate Eggman doing that to a Chow. like rubbing its head and just going yosh. Please, somebody make this a possibility. Please, I'm begging you.
Oh man, that would seriously make my day. Oh god, that would be the best thing.
Oh my god.
Oh god, my eyes. Oh.
Okay. But, okay, so I guess, back into seriousness now. So pretty much after that, now we start seeing Sekko's ability. So, Oasis is much like, Gacho's Stand White album in that it's the suit. So the suit that Sekko is wearing, that is Oasis. But it gives him the ability to basically manipulate the ground. Like, he can swim through it, he can pull things in, like, treat it like it's water. So, it's another suit stand, and sadly, as far as from what I really remember, I think this really is, like, part 5 was, like, the only one that really introduced the concept of suit stands, like, where, like, the stand is, like, an entire bodysuit. After it's just like, yeah, you see that, there's some people that, their stands, they might be like an accessory or something, but like a full-blown bodysuit, yeah, it's pretty much White Album and Oasis, and that's it. Which is unfortunate, because that's such a cool concept.
Oh, it really is.
But yeah, so that is what Oasis does. So, like, we see that, he's pulling the staircase when Bruno and Mista are trying to climb up it. He's trying to pull them, sink their, feet into the ground, so, they can barely move, that kind of stuff. And, it's kind of like what Bruno says, Sekko can definitely help out with Chocolata, because it's like, remember, Green Day is all about elevation. So, you're trying to get head higher? Well, Oasis can pull you back down. So it's like, so yes, they can easily work together, but unlike with Squalo and Tiziano, where they are solely reliant on each other, Oasis and Green Day, they are a very powerful duo, but as you will see throughout the rest of this fight, they're powerful on their own.
Right.
Alright, so that's pretty much with Oasis. Oh, and can I just say, so I know on Twitter, and I figured this was going to happen, because I know this has always been a thing, even in the manga, but oh my god, the dummy thick memes that I have been seeing with Sekko, on Twitter,
oh god.
Everybody is just there is so much ass in this episode. It's it's like you got Sekko in the suit. There's a moment where it looks like, he's trying to pull Mista into the ground to stop him. And yeah, it looks like he's going right for Mista's ass. It's like there's so many butt shots. I think even in the stats screen for halfway through the stats screen for Green Day, Green Day's in a pose where he's bent backwards like freaking Voldo. So it's just God damn it! This is the ass episode.
Oh man, really doesn't help the fact that sadly I noticed this too. Like right before we got to the opening sequence or whatever, and we get the iconic poses for Sekko and Chocolata. It's looking at it again. It's oh yeah, this could not be a coincidence that it's here we have Sekko bending over with his ass in the air, and then Chocolata's in a pose where it looks like he's sticking his hand up his ass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where it's and that's the thing that's the first thing I'm seeing people that not only are they doing the dummy thick memes and stuff, but then you got the people that are just oh my god, thank you for not censoring Sekko's ass. It's like, yes, thank you for that. It's like,
yeah.
Priorities, people. Actually, now that I even think about it, if you look in the ending credits, so in the ending credits, I know I'm jumping ahead here, but in the ending credits, so we have Green Day and Oasis on the pillar. They're not waiting until those stands are defeated before throwing them on. They're on that pillar now. It's like, even the freaking pose with Oasis! It's like, he's like kneeling down, spread eagle, and it looks like, Purple Haze's hand is in his ass. It's like ass! It's like, if we may quote the angry video game nerd here, ass! Like, that's pretty much the theme of this episode.
It's like I'm telling you, they just keep throwing in the sexual innuendos on that freaking pillar. First Zipper Man on the verge of sucking King Crimson's dick, and then this with Secco and Oasis. It's like, god damn it.
And you anime only watchers, you think this is crazy now? Wait till you get to part 6. Just saying.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And I say this as someone who has yet to see or read Stone Ocean. I'm like, oh no.
Part 6 is definitely got like the most like sex explicitness out of every part.
Oh,
so it's
God.
If you are at all bothered by what they're doing in part 5, oh, you are not ready for part 6 when that comes out.
Oh man. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, but we have time. We have a ways to go before that happens.
Yeah, true.
Alrighty, so roughly about halfway through the episode, we get another bombshell. So, for you anime only watchers, I'm willing to bet that you're thinking, like, when it comes to Gold Experience's healing, you're probably thinking, like, because he's got power over life and everything, that after what happened in Venice, that apparently Gold Experience is so broken with the life-giving ability that he can even raise the dead. That ain't happening.
No, sadly, no.
So basically, the big bombshell out of all this was that, after what happened in Venice, yes, Giorno was able to heal Bruno's wounds, but by the time he had healed those wounds, Bruno had died. But he was able to heal him at like the right point where basically his soul was able to go back into his body. So it's like, pretty much from like the halfway point of the series up until now, it's like, yeah, Bruno, he's basically a walking corpse at this point. And, from where he's saying was, this is why, the few times that we were seeing, like, whenever Bruno does get hurt, he's not bleeding. So it's like, there's the moment where, like, what is it, like, he pierced his hand on a nail or something? Like, yeah, no blood from there. Trish, I think, noticed a wound in his leg or something, and noticed no blood. So it's like, okay, kind of weird. If you actually remember when it was like right before Squall and Tiziano struck, when they were all like, at the cafe eating like eating their lunch, you'll notice that Bruno was the only one who was not eating. So it's like, there's been a lot of hints that have been dropped until this point that something was definitely wrong with Bruno here, and that's because, it is a dead body. And pretty much like what he said in the car, Giorno was trying to talk to him. He didn't even hear him. So his hearing is going out now. So pretty much, yeah, his body, it's dead, but a dead body, it still decays. It still falls apart. So Bruno really does not have a lot of time left. Like, sure, Giorno can, heal, like, conflict wounds and shit. Like, sure, it's like, oh, you cut your hand? Okay, I can go heal the cut. But it's not going to stop his body from literally falling apart on him. So that's more or less, like, Bruno is pretty much he's pretty much he's living off of like a ticking clock at this point. He does not have much time left before his body just completely gives out and he's gone for good.
Yeah, more or less, yeah. What
Yeah,
it's like why Bruno didn't exactly tell Giorno about it, back in Venice. Who knows?
Well, I think probably by the time that happened, like probably when it first initially happened, I get the impression he was probably still trying to figure everything out, like trying to figure out himself, like, okay, what the hell is happening to me? And it's like, he even asked Giorno, please don't tell everybody else. Because, probably because he's like, I don't want anyone to worry about me.
Right.
So, that's probably, if anything, that's probably more so, what it is.
Yeah, oh yeah, and, just so that he wouldn't have to worry about, making the others worry.
Right. Yeah, so that's why he pretty much kept his mouth shut until this point where literally, he couldn't. Because even if he had stayed quiet, Giorno was going to figure everything out right then and there.
Speaking of Bruno keeping his mouth shut, thinking about it now, it's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know if it's really I don't know if it's all that relevant or whatnot, but it's like, seeing as how all this time Bruno was a walking corpse and he's unable to bleed, it kind of makes me wonder. In that case, it's like, how exactly is it that Bruno was able to make his mouth bleed? Like near the end of the death scene with the Bacchio, and Bruno is walking away from Narancia as Narancia is crying his eyes out because Bruno's trying so hard not to give into his emotions either, and he's just like, no, that's an order, we gotta move on, we gotta leave Bacchio where he is, try to keep that cool exterior.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because they were establishing at that point that is like, yeah, he's like not bleeding at all, and yet he bit his lip and he bled. So I was like, yeah, that is kind of weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and assume. I think it is safe to assume that there's gonna be like no explanation for something so small like that, but it's like, I don't know. It's like, I can only imagine, like, at this point, like, I don't know, what was it? When Giorno initially used Gold Experience to heal all of Bruno's wounds back in Venice, and his body wasn't completely showing, like, as if he was like a walking corpse or anything. And only now did Giorno realize, oh my god, his skin is so cold. Like, now he's really not bleeding. So I'm just like, I could be wrong. I'm just theorizing at this point. But I don't know. It's like, maybe it could be one of those deals where it's like, even though he was a walking corpse, he was like, back in Venice, his body was still, for the most part, up to par with how he was before he was killed off by King Crimson. But then as time went on, his body, I guess, maybe is starting to, I wouldn't say decompose or anything, but pretty much give up, like, as if he was really a corpse with all things considered.
Well, I think because it's really not becoming apparent until now.
Yeah.
Because it's like, yeah, because even Bruno said, oh, did you say something, Giorno? I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, so, because his hearing. I remember, like, reading the manga, it even saying, like, oh yeah, his hearing was going out, because most of the time, like, at this point, he'll probably more than likely just hear nothing but ringing into his ears, which wasn't really apparent. Like, even before we got this big bombshell, it's like back then, Bruno was able to hear everybody else just fine, I guess, until now.
And then it's like, minor spoiler, but like, in a couple of episodes, you'll even see, like, even like Bruno's sight begins to go out on him. So, I mean, it's like, his body is falling apart.
Decomposing in a way, except not really.
Yeah, decomposing, breaking apart. I mean, like, pretty much there is no chance in saving Bruno at this point. It's just, okay, how long can he go until his body just completely gives out on him and he's done for good? So, I mean, to you anime only watchers, so it's like, so we've got Abakio on the death count, we've got Bruno confirmed for the death count. It's just a matter of, when is it gonna happen? So it's like, so it's coming, you just don't know when. So, and it's like, and I mean, when I was first reading the manga, I mean, I was not anticipating this, because I mean, I was in the camp thinking, oh, great, Giorno can revive the dead. Because, of fucking course he can. But then he drops this bombshell, and it's like, oh, wow, okay. It's like, I actually like that twist. I mean, it's like, I'm still sad to see that this is happening to Bruno, of all people, but it's like, you know what? Okay. It's not completely broken. Not yet, anyway. But we got a ways. We still got a ways before we
still have a bit of a ways to go before we reach that point.
Yeah, before we start getting to, that's it, we're gonna break the goddamn series. So it's like
we're gonna turn all dark. We're gonna turn all dark side near the end. I'm just saying.
We got a ways to go.
Still have a ways to go, but someone really bad will get what's coming to him. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, so we got that, and now they're setting up for like the individual fights. So Giorno and Mista are going to be going after Cioccolata, and Bruno is going to be going after Secco, which now brings us to that moment. Oh god, here we go!
Oh!
There we go! The game moment.
Yes!
Game moment number 2. First we had the suck, now we got the grope. There's a reason why everybody ships Giorno and Mista.
Like, wait. Oh, that moment. Yeah, yes, that too.
There is a reason that they keep getting shipped.
It's like first came the suck, and now we get the grope.
And you know what the funny thing was I remembered, because I was actually starting to play Eyes of Heaven while I was in the middle of reading the manga. So I didn't get to that point in the manga before I got to Eyes of Heaven where you see Giorno and Mista teaming up. And it's like, when you see them team up in Eyes of Heaven, like their intro, it is that moment where, like, where Giorno grabs Mista's hand to aim the gun and he's got his hand wrapped around his waist and everything. And I'm just sitting here like, whoa, Giorno! What are you doing? I was just like, where is this coming from? And then I get to the manga and it's like, okay, I get where it's coming from. But still, goddamn, it's like, why don't you just hold his hips more tenderly there, Giorno? Seriously.
It's like, Giorno, why don't you just hold on to Mista's hands as Mista's holding the gun from behind, like if you were helping Mista, make a new vase with clay.
It's like, dude, Giorno, you are 15 years old, Mista's already been in prison, don't put him back there!
It's like, all right, well, Giorno is a teenager, teenagers do tend to go through that moment.
I know, but still. Like I said, Mista's 18, Giorno is 15. Giorno, stop jailbaiting him!
That's 3 years, that's not that big of a year difference.
Oh, yeah. That's fun.
I love how you just leave it at that with some awkward silence. That was great.
That's where it's like, I got nothing to say.
It's like, how do I even respond to that? Ah, fuck it. Oh man.
Alrighty. So we get that moment, and then it's like, yep. So they've got the helicopter. They got it tethered to a building. And yeah, we're going to go from there. So next week, it's going to be, we're going to be getting the Chocolata battle first. So it's going to be Mista and Giorno climbing up to the helicopter to go face off against Chocolata. And I imagine that, yeah, the entire episode next week is just going to be that fight. We're not going to be getting, Bruno and Secco until after this fight is done.
Yeah, I would certainly hope that it's like, considering that the manga pretty much handled it like, okay, we see the entirety of one fight, and then the next chapter or volume or whatever, once that's done, then it's all dedicated to the Sekko fight. Yeah, no, seriously, I hope and pray that they do the exact same thing with the anime adaptation. I mean, not that I'm saying I do not have faith in David Productions, because seriously, even at this moment, throughout this entire time we've been seeing the Golden Wind anime, David Productions have been very faithful to the source material, or let alone adding more to the source material to make it even more awesome. But I'm just saying, if they, for whatever reason, pull off the stunt where they cut back to like the Chocolata fight, and then at one point they cut back to the Sekko fight, only to cut back to the Chocolata fight, and it goes back and forth within this next episode or two, I'm actually gonna be pissed.
Right. So I would imagine they're gonna follow the manga pretty strictly. So with that being said, the moment that I know Ryan is waiting for, that should be next week.
Oh my god, I hope so.
Guys, you do not understand what Ryan is waiting for. This is probably like the thing out of all of Part 5 that Ryan has been waiting for the most.
The moment Danny and I ran into this one particular part in the manga, I was dying to see this in the anime adaptation. Hell, the moment I got a good taste of how Giorno's voice actor handles his Dan's voice acting, I really, really wanted to see this moment in motion.
Yeah, so it's like, I mean, if you guys have been following the Golden Wind Geekouts, you should know what gets Ryan excited, with these episodes. So, suffice it to say, the one that Ryan's waiting for, this is a big one. So
as far as I'm aware, this is the biggest moment, like, in regards to like moments with stand users and their stances. I mean, from what I could gather, this seems to be like the biggest moment out of all of them, and I hope and pray that Different Productions proves that theory right.
Yeah. So you know what? Well, yeah. Let's just, I guess, talk about this a little bit even further. So, spoiler tag here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so yeah, the Chocolata beatdown.
So the Chocolata beatdown.
The Chocolata beatdown was 7 full pages of just nothing but pure beatdown. If I recall from what I've read, Steely Dan, which up until this point was like the longest beatdown, like even in the anime, that was 3 pages. That was about 3 full pages of the manga was the Steely Dan beatdown, and we got Jotaro beating on Steely Dan for 20, 30 seconds. So the fact that we had Giorno beating the shit out of Chocolata for 7 pages, it's like, please, give us a full-blown minute of beatdown. I don't want to see where it's you give Steely Dan a full 20, 30 seconds and he got half the pages, but then you decide to rush the Chocolata beatdown and it's like, oh no, you only see Giorno beating on him for 10 seconds. I'm like, no. You milk that shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, no, okay, this beatdown is 7 pages. You embrace it. And don't get me wrong. The Star Platinum beatdown, on Steely Dan was awesome at the time. In fact, I still go back and rewatch that beatdown because of how crazy it is. But it's
No,
like,
you know what? I do the same thing. But I mean, I just love. I personally really love the Steely Dan fight. That like Steely Dan and the poker fight with Darby. I think those are like my two favorite battles. Of Dio's minions and Stardust Crusaders.
oh yeah, absolutely. But all I'm saying here is that if I it's like I as great of a beatdown as that was, it's like if they pretty much give the Chocolata beatdown the exact same treatment, I'm gonna be severely disappointed because that does not scream 7 pages worth of a stand beatdown in 7 pages. That is
Yeah,
that is literally the equivalent of how many panels or pages you have to read. When you're looking at Star Platinum being the living shit out of Steely Dan in the original Stardust Crusaders manga.
yeah, because it's like
This Chocolata beatdown is on a completely different level from what I've read. And like I said, I just hope and pray that David Production stays faithful just for that alone.
yeah. Let alone, I mean, yeah, Giorno beating down Chocolata. It is the longest beatdown in all of JoJo. Like no other villain tops 7 full pages of beatdown. So right now,
Yes.
Giorno has the record on this one. Now I don't know if that applies to all of Shonen Jump because it's like again, I mean, I don't know like how does Dragon Ball do their fights? I know Naruto never did beatdowns like this. I sincerely doubt like My Hero Academia or Bleach or any of those other really big ones. Not even like One Piece handled that many pages of beatdown. But it's like I want to say if it's not the longest beatdown in all of like shonen, it's up there. It's one of the longest ones. It's definitely the longest one in JoJo. So considering how well David Production has been handling like some of the most iconic moments so far, I definitely would hope that they're going to, milk this one for all it's worth because of how big of a moment this was.
Oh, yes.
It's like because it's like even if you look at like the pages, it's like like each page, it's like you're seeing like the beatdown. You see it in like different camera angles, basically. Like you're seeing it in different perspectives. I think Giorno rees at some point during the whole thing. Like he goes from scream like Muda Muda Muda, and then he goes and he screams out a re before going back into the Mudas. So I mean, it's like it's just so goddamn bonkers. So it's just like again, this is where it's like I'm hoping maybe they'll do something like I would imagine like yeah get the iconic camera angles and such, but like to match the manga panels. But how cool would it be like you're already using the 3D technology, take advantage of it and actually have like the camera scrolling and circling around like to capture all those moments. Like that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah, that would be really sick.
It's like just get. It's like personally, I want it longer than Steely Dan, but at the very least, minimum the same amount of time dedicated like you did with Steely Dan. Minimum, please. That's all I ask. It's like ideally, I want a full blown minute, but if you have to make it shorter, can we at least have it be the same length as Steely Dan?
Uh, I guess, oh man, it'll be really disappointing if they pretty much make it like as long as the Steely Dan beatdown. But if that's the most they could give us for whatever reason, I guess I will take it. I'm sure it will sound amazing nonetheless. But it would intensify the excitement if they stay true to just how long this beatdown really is in the manga, and make it like the longest stand beat down in the JoJo anime adaptations history.
Yeah. Alrighty, so I guess, so with that said, I'm trying to think, is there anything else that we're missing?
Okay.
Oh, shit! I remembered! Okay, Ryan, you pointed this out because I completely missed it. Crunchyroll, fix your fucking subs!
Oh God. Okay. All right. Okay. Lord knows when Crunchyroll is gonna fix this one, but all right. So apparently, just by an off chance, like here I am, like putting down the file name for our one of our recordings for the live reaction, for this episode. So I look at the screen and on the actual ending screen or whatever, it says Episodio 31, but on the subtitles they read it as Episodio 30. And I'm just like, wait a minute, hold on. Wait, isn't this episode 30?
Yeah, it's like we're on episode 30 and they can't count. First you put a 7 in the middle of words, now you can't fucking count.
It's like,
It's like
oh no.
it's like, oh my god, what is, I mean, I know it's such a minor mistake, but it's like, okay, this is strike 2 now. It's like, why in the second half is this happening? You were perfectly fine in the first half, and then it's like we get to the second half. Okay, now we have random numbers popping up. Like, what's going on here?
Man, God, at this rate, I like, just
don't
don't
get,
know. I mean,
don't get lazy on us just because we're like 9 episodes away from finishing. Just don't get lazy on us now.
all right. I mean, granted, it's just something incredibly small, but it's like you still can't help but point that out and question it. It's like, okay, come on, really?
So yeah, it's like okay. So other than that, is there anything else we're missing?
Well, okay. I was actually looking through the initial volume of where this whole part is taking place in, and I got scared. Because upon picking up like on a technically chapter 559 in the manga, it actually starts us off with Seko and Bruno, but only for, I believe, only for a chapter.
Yeah, I think it's just pretty much like, they're showing everybody going their separate ways, like,
Well,
so it's like
no,
so it's like,
yeah,
yeah, I think it's like they maybe like exchange a few words and like maybe start to throw down, but it goes right back to Giorno and Mista.
it's like, oh no, no, it's like for this first part, like, no, like Seko and Bruno, they already exchanged fists. It's like
Okay.
we already saw them going their separate ways, but and then yeah, I'm sure, if memory serves, yeah, Seko and Bruno, they exchanged some words, but then shortly after they throw some fists at each other, and it had me worried because at that point I'm starting to think, oh god, was the thing that I said really gonna happen? Are they really gonna do the whole cutting back and forth between fights? But as I briefly look through the rest of this volume, the rest of the volume, it does contain like the entire chocolate fight, and considering that during like what was it, during this episode, they pretty much knocked out, like, actually starting from like the end of the last episode, they knocked out like 4.5 volumes. No, 4.5 chapters of this volume.
It's like four and a half volumes in 15 minutes. God damn.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So I think, so regardless of such, it's gonna happen. This big moment is gonna happen next week. There is no beating around the bush on this one. David Productions, make this happen.
Well, that's where it's like, yeah, you bring up like, yeah, like Bruno and Oasis. It's like, if I recall correctly, like, yeah, when they're talking, it was like, yeah, Oasis, he was trying to say something, but it's like he was like even like forgetting like what it is, like he was forgetting what it was that he was trying to say, or it's like he couldn't remember a particular word, and he's like rattling, like, he's rattling his head going like, okay, what is it that I'm trying to say? And like Bruno ends up correcting him, and like Seko just looks at him and he's like, I knew that, you son of a bitch! He's like,
It's like,
He's like, don't correct me!
It's like, I know that. Who do you think you are? My fucking Italian teacher or something?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, like that's pretty much like, how Seko looks at him. And it's like, it's a minor little thing like that, where it's like, yeah, he couldn't remember what it was. He couldn't figure out what it was he was trying to say. Bruno picked it up and just corrected him, and he's just like flips out.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like, if I recall correctly, I think that's the exchange that happens before, like during that part. So that's probably how next week's episode is going to begin, and then it switches right into Giorno and Mista.
Yeah. That's how I'm seeing it as. It's like they make that little goofy exchange. We see Sticky Fingers and Seko like exchange punches or whatever for a brief moment, and then all eyes will be set on the Chocolata fight in its entirety.
Yeah. Yeah, so easily that's what it's looking like it's going to be for next week.
It better be the entirety of that fight. Otherwise, well, you know.
Yeah, it's like, the internet will riot.
I will riot, the internet will riot, every single manga reader is gonna riot.
Alrighty, so is there anything else that we might have forgotten?
Nah. Honestly, I think we're good at this point.
Alrighty then. Well, hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode, and join us next week for Green Day and Oasis Part 2, specifically the Green Day fight.
Yes, especially the Green Day fight. We will see you guys then. See you guys next week.